Alright, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Real Talk video. I pray everybody's having a wonderful, blessed day as we thank the Most High for so much. My title now says, Growing Up as a Musician. First of all, let me give a major shout out to all the musicians out here that's looking at this video. It don't matter who you are, what color you are, where you located. A major shout out to you, and may the Most High continue to bless you and take you higher and higher. This is a video response back to the musicians. This is not going to be a Bible study video, as you can tell by the title. So we'll continue that on the next video about the Bible, or, real talk. But this is a response back to you, Brother Joey on keys. You want to know how it was for me growing up as a musician. How did I learn how to play the drums, the piano? How did I learn how to produce? How did I get to where I'm at now? Who did I listen to? So that's why I want to just title the video, Growing Up as a Musician. I tell you, Brother Joey, I really, really wish I could get my daddy to do this video, because my daddy could tell it so much better than what I'm about to try to do. But I'm going to do my best. But he can explain so much and expound on so much way better than me. But old school. When you grow up in the old school house, you're making me reminisce on my times growing up now in my younger days, man. But when you grow up in the old school house, an old school 2-bedroom house where it look like it's hot as hell, and you got old school parents, then you know what comes along with that. Old school music. Jazz, R&B, Motown, the soulful music, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, that's what I came up in, listening to everything. I mean, when you grow up in a house like that, it look like you don't have no choice but to listen to that old school, mama in the kitchen, music on. And my daddy had a band, and I would hear so much and learn so much. So when you grow up old school, we grew up with the 8-tracks. How many of y'all remember the 8-track player? How many of y'all remember the reel? See, it's some youngsters gonna look at this video. Y'all probably don't even know what a reel is. I came up with the record players, the 8-tracks, the reel. Reel was some of the best quality, some of the best recording I ever heard in my life to this day. Now we got all this new technology, and then they came out with the tape decks, and then CD players. Even back then you had 8 decks in the studios. They got away from all of that. But not to stay off of that, I'm just letting you know the type of era I grew up in, so you'll feel me even more. My daddy was a singer. My daddy was a musician. Awesome. Back in the day, he used to look just like Marvin Gaye. And I would watch him so much. And Papa JT had so much music on records. Looked like he could fill up the whole house. He would have 8 tracks over here, and then big old boxes of records. He would lend his records out to some of his friends, and to this day, he never got them back. He had a huge collection. I still got some in the room back there. When you look at the record album, the album with let's say Marvin Gaye, I Want You. When you look at them old albums and then you look at where we at now, it's like, woo, times have changed. But Pop was an awesome singer. That's why I wish he could do this video. But he'll tell you how he messed up a whole lot. Messing with drugs, just like my uncle. Rest his soul. Unc was out there with James Brown, bagging him up on the bass. Aretha Franklin, Uncle Jerry, he died in 2012, but Uncle Jerry never learned to read, but he made a living playing that bass. But he let the drugs, the money, the women, the sex, take him. Just like what we see now. When you look at the show Unsung, look like every person that was famous, they got caught up in their lifestyle, the drinking, the drugs, the women, the sex. The lifestyle that took them out. But I learned and watched them so I would know exactly what to do and what not to do. All my uncles played and sung. So I come from a family of gifted musicians. Even some of the ones younger than me, they play drums, they can sing. Some of them locked up. So it looked like generation after generation, they could play. So drums, big brother, is what I started out with. I was born with that. I was so fascinated by playing the drums. That's all I ever did when I was little. You couldn't get me off a drum set when we finally got one. Took us a while to get one. But I love the drums. I would have never thought I would have been on the piano. Now, I was born with that once again. The Bible says all gifts come from above. That's why I always tell my mom I was beating the drums while I was in her womb. I was in there probably like this already, just playing drums. See, man cannot give you a gift. But what mankind can do is play an impact on your gift. They can help bring out some stuff, bring out the best in you, but the gift was already coming from above. So I played the drums, and once again, at first we never had a drum set. So me and my big brother and my twin brother, we would make our own drum sets. We would put some things together, then we'll get a box over here or a trash can over here, and I would go get my mama's pots and pans. I'm still to this day apologizing, Mama JT. Sorry for busting up all your pans and tops. But we did. We took mama pots and pans and we beat the hell out of them. We made a drum set. Even when I would go outside, I would take parts off a big wheel. If I heard the way something sound, oh, that's my snare right there. Let me go in the house and get 2 more tops that go to that skillet or that pan. That's my hi-hat. That's my cymbal. And I would take a brick and make a foot pedal out of it. Because we couldn't afford drum sets at first. We was just struggling just to keep it real. But even in that struggling, it seemed like them was the best times in my life. But my daddy had a Fender Rose. An old 88. I call it the old Ray Charles because back in the day, if you didn't have a Fender Rose, it's like you wasn't no musician. You see how they keep on bringing them back, and whoever got them there, they really not getting rid of them because it's hard to beat a Fender Rose sound or a Rutherford. But a Fender Rose, man, was my favorite, and the keys were so heavyweighted. That's what I learned on growing up. An old 88, Fender 88. Playing them old hard keys, and them hard keys make your hand fast. So I would look at my dad that played that Fender Rose and sing as a little boy. And then I could always, when he would let me, I would mark something that he did. He would say, I bet you can't play this chord here. I bet you put your fingers right there and do. Next thing I know, it was easy for me. I started putting my fingers on there, and I just started getting away and away from the drum set. I could always mark people and impersonate people. Now, my big brother, Jacody, would be on the piano. Jacody learned how to play the keys, and I was on the drums, but some kind of way, me and Cody wound up switching. He started getting on the drums, and then I started getting on the keys. And then my twin brother, Jermaine, he could play the keys. He could play the drums. But my little brother, Jeremy, he wasn't even born yet. He didn't come on until the 80s. And when he came on and growed up, looked like he passed all us because that boy so multi-talented. He could play the sax, the keyboard, the drums, the bass guitar, the lead guitar. He know how to produce, engineer, I mean, you name it, set up sound. We all love that because that's what we grew up in. That's what we grew up around. So for me, music was me, you know. I was like to the point on the keyboard, and then I was like, okay, forget these drums. Let me tell you the first song I was fascinated by. And if you're a piano player, you're going to feel this next statement I'm about to make. Mr. Magic. I don't care what band you go to growing up, or even now, look like a lot of times, if you didn't learn how to play this song, they didn't want you to play. Mr. Magic by Grover Washington Jr. was my favorite song. When I first heard that song, when it come on with that lead guitar, I said, man, I got to learn that, because I always heard it. I always heard it on the radio. I always heard my daddy playing the Wine Light album. I would hear so much music, so much Jazz Crusaders, Grover Washington. I mean, you name it. Our house was just full of music. So I was like, toot, 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 toot. I saw my dad do a little 3-finger chord, which was a C minor, C, E flat, and what's that, G, I believe. And I took that and I ran with it. To answer your question, brother, that's how I learned the first song. I was so amazed at that tune. See, for me growing up, it wasn't no house full of church music. It was all kind of music. Yeah, they would play some little church music every now and again, whatever church music is and whatever gospel music is. I have no clue, because they just labeled that, man. Because now gospel, what they call gospel music, is the same as old school, the same as a lot of rap music. I mean, let me just leave that alone. That's a whole nother video. But I was so fascinated off Johnny Guitar Watson stuff, Bobby Womack, Bobby Blue Bland, once again the Jazz Crusaders. And I'm gonna tell you, one of my favorite people who I love that use so many different sounds and different keyboards. Of course, George Duke, but then Lonnie Liston Smith, and of course Herbie Hancock. Chameleon, man, you couldn't stop me from listening to that. Boom, 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 boom. I would jam that every day, man. So when I would hear it, I would go in the room, play with it. Next thing I know, my daddy was saying, baby, come in here and listen to this boy. This boy done learned how to play Love and Happiness. He done learned how to play Me and Mrs. Jones. He done learned how to play Just My Imagination by the Temptations. That's why it's hard to miss me on old school. I love old school. Even to this day, I still love old school. I've never gotten away from old school. Music, it's the spirit behind music, you know. Yes, there's a lot of bad music, but then it's a lot of good music also. Then you know when you start going on further and further, you had the Gap Band, you had Maze, Frankie Beverly, you know. You had so much that was, all them bands was bringing something to the table. And back then you had to play. Earth, Wind, and Fire, the Elements. Oh man, Maurice, Philip Bailey. Lord rest Maurice soul. You couldn't stop me from listening to Earth, Wind, and Fire. Jeffrey Osborne. I mean, I can name so much that I have a big collection over here myself, and it just depends on what I feel like listening to that day. I'm on it. But then you talk about blues, Sir Charles and Johnny Taylor, all this stuff that's out here, you know. I start picking them songs up. So I would keep looking at my daddy, and then it was a house not too far from us, down the street, we would call the Clark's house. Them Clark boys, Kevin Clark, Greg Clark, Curtis Clark, the whole Clark family. Big shout out to them. As a kid, I would go down their house every day, 12, 13 years old, in there, listening at them, trying to learn. Too little to play with them, but I would sit there and soak it all in. And Greg showed me so much on the piano that I can't even explain. Because Greg knew how to play that lead, the bass, and boy, he could show run them keys. And he taught me so much through his guitar also, how to do those sevens and nines. And another shout out to Albert Jackson. Brother Albert Jackson showed me a lot of nines and sevens. So it wasn't no such thing as y'all gonna transpose. Let me mess with some of these musicians now, because a lot of musicians are getting paid and just pushing the arrow and going up plus, 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 or going down minus, 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 cheating. Wasn't no such thing as transposing when I was coming up. If you couldn't play, they would kick you off and put somebody that could play. Because we didn't even have a transpose button. You can't transpose a Fender Rose. You can't transpose a B3 organ, original one. You couldn't transpose no baby grand piano. You had to learn how to play it. If the song modulated, you better learn your keys so you can modulate a whole step or a half step with those songs. See, technology now has destroyed so many musicians. And I mean it out of love. That's why I say this is just a real talk video. I'm going to add all this in there. But my daddy, he showed me some chords. And then, as I got older and older, I learned my notes. I learned my keys. I learned theory. I studied a lot. I bought this book. And when I got older, I started buying DVDs when they came on the scene, because there wasn't no YouTube and stuff for me growing up. It's either I'm going to have to ask somebody and it's up to them to show me. When I would ask a lot of cats playing, oh no, man, you know how long it took me to learn this? You got to learn like I did. Or they would cover their hands up so you couldn't see what they was doing on the piano or the organ or the keyboard. Stingy. I said I would never be like that. Another reason why I came on here to share all I knew on the piano. But I learned why I was playing what I was playing. I learned the name of the notes. I already knew how to read drum music as a drummer, so we would be reading drum music. But like I said, I got all the way away from them drum, and the keyboard started interesting in me, and I fell in love with it. I picked up the bass a little bit, and then I showed my little brother. And then, all hell broke loose, brother PP Drums. You know why? Because I started playing in church when I was about 15. That's when all the hell broke loose. I never thought in a million years that church folks were so mean. I didn't know they were so hoish. I didn't know it was so many drunks and weed heads and liars and whoring around and just stealing money and just you name it, and then brainwashing you, talking about you can't be playing that devil music in the world. You better play for the Lord and only for the Lord. How many of y'all heard that? It confused the hell out of me growing up when I was young. Why? Because I was playing for the devils and hoes and drunks and the liars and the cheaters and the weed heads at church every Sunday. But they talking about the world. Don't be playing for the devil, that devil music. Man, don't you know everybody on Sunday mornings ain't singing to the Most High? Everybody in these church buildings is not of the Most High. They live their life the same way in wickedness and then go try to sing songs talking about they glorifying the Father. That's why I said all hell broke loose. So when I was 15, I started playing in church. Then I started becoming a minister of music all the way up to this day. So you can imagine how much mess I done seen in my life growing up as a musician. I said, dang, I did not know this is how it was with church folks. And then I started producing and recording, doing church folks albums. I didn't know they was going to get so wasted in the studio. And then I started playing in them groups and the male courses, and then all women groups and praise teams and all kind of stuff. As I got older and older, man, they was all sleeping with each other. They was all getting drunk. They was sleeping around on each other, wives and husbands. It was just a hot mess. And I'm talking about church folks. They looked like they was worse in the world, but you always got them ones telling you, don't be playing that devil music. Once again, it's the spirit behind music. Ain't none of us met the Most High face to face. Nor was none of us back in the Bible to be around David when he played his harp and played and calmed those evil spirits out of Saul. You don't know what the music was. You never heard it. I never heard it. See, it mess people up when I say that, because how you know the Most High don't just like jazz music, smooth music, smooth? You don't know. Same A-flat chord I play in Your Amazing Grace song that I really can't stand is the same A-flat I was using in Johnny Taylor. Did nothing make the chord change. It was the same A-flat, C, E-flat, 3-finger chord. That chord would never change. I don't care what music or what you put it on, that chord, it would never change. Now, when you look at growing up, look at how much you learn what to do and what you learn what not to do. And see, the reason why I'm saying that, excuse me, because when I start The problem with me at first was I wasn't living according to the word. I was just listening at folk. I thought what I was doing was right because I was looking at what everybody else was doing. I wasn't studying for myself at first. And once I started learning and I read that scripture when it says, and all you're getting understanding, that changed my life. I quit listening at church folks. That's why you can't come up to me telling me nothing about music and this, don't do this and don't do that. That's why to this day I still play at wedding receptions. I do things that the Spirit leads me to do. Now I'm testing spirits by the Spirit. Who created love? Who created marriage? The Most High. That's why one of my favorite songs is Ribbons in the Sky. All My Life by Jodeci. So many songs that I got. Well, brother, you shouldn't be playing that kind of music. It's all about love. Church folks will mess you up. Who really want to get married and march down the aisle on Jesus is real? Not me. Who want to make love to their wife to a song that's talking about, Father, I stretch my hands to thee? Not me. There's a time and a place and a season for everything under the heavens. Let me leave that alone. But I'm very careful with what I do. That's why you don't see JT stumbling drunk nowhere. You don't see me getting high nowhere. You don't see me running women nowhere. I do what I do, make my money, and I'm out of it. I go home. Because I am a musician. I am a producer. I love playing at different engagements like retirement parties, family reunions when they go right. And I'm not out here doing nothing against the Most High. My first time when I was in the studio, I was 12 years old. But I've been producing tracks since I was about 16. But went in the studio with my cousin Michael Thompson when I was 12. Now, yes, to answer your other question, yeah, I used to do a lot of rap tracks. I used to hang with a lot of rappers and do all that. But it wasn't for me, bro. I left it alone. I think I talked about this before on here. Now I'm talking about the producing side. We moving away from the piano and playing live and stuff. Now we talking about production. When I learned the keys, I always had an ear for music. I always loved to set up equipment. That's just been me since I was little. So I could hear, the Most High gave me this gift. I could sit right here, right now, and hear a song in my head, and I can lay down every part, from the drum beat to the bass line, to the organ, to the piano, to the strings. Oh, I need a saxophone right there. Oh, let me mute this out. It need this right there. I need to put some percussion on there. I hear a bridge right here. Oh, let me take it to another key right here. I started producing, and I did that so much every day. I would go in the room and wouldn't come out the room till the next day. I have made a lot of tracks. Some people I never got paid for, I got burnt. That's why I learned how to really do business. That's why I don't hardly fool with nobody no more. So production just really, I was really gifted with that. And then I hung with people who knew how to show you how to record. I hung with people that went to school for that. So I would take what they showed me and match it with what I already knew. I got a chance to hang out with, this guy, Paul. If you're ever in Dallas and you go to the studio Audio in Dallas and you meet Paul, that guy's awesome. Paul has produced pretty much everybody's stuff. The man is so knowledgeable and know his stuff, it just blows your mind. And you can give him something, and I guarantee you he'll turn that something into something real big. Just watching him the last time I was sitting in the studio, it just blew my mind when I went with Greg and them. Greg Clark, the Clark boys have a band called G Code. And I play with G Code sometime when they call me, if I'm not too busy. And I went in there with them and I was just amazed, man. Because I always wanted to go to school, but the struggle I had growing up, I know I never was able to just get into school, but I was still able to be blessed and learn anyway. I didn't go to school for drums. I didn't go to school for piano. I didn't go to school for production. I was gifted with it. I didn't go to school for the word. Somebody catch that later. Not knocking nobody to go to school. But when you are taught by the Most High, and when the Most High surround you around the right people, it's awesome. But even with that, with them rappers, man, a lot of them, they would start off well, but they were so high, they couldn't remember nothing. They would talk to you so crazy and don't even remember doing it. You get behind them closed doors, you'll see some of everything. And then most of them get locked up. So you waste a lot of time dealing with rappers. Then you have to put this on hold. Man, I never got my money for this. I started getting very business-minded. People that have money, even with these preachers, oh man, God gonna take care of you. Man, don't let these preachers brainwash you and rob the hell out you when they sitting there getting all their money. I ain't talking about all preachers like that. But you know how they do musicians, a lot of them. You can work your butt off. The Bible teaches you plain as day, a servant is worthy of his hire. At first, I got done the same way. I'm going to tell you, the best thing for me was when I left my family church. But let me get back to this technology and how it has changed so much. Technology now has handicapped so many musicians. You can make a whole song, a track right now by holding down one key on the keyboard. Just like I look at all this technology. Y'all remember Roger Troutman? Roger and the Zap got murdered by his own brother. But when you look at how hard Roger worked back then, when you look at songs like More Bounce to the Ounce, Computer Love, the way he worked that voice box on the keyboard, all his guitar, man, that man worked. They was working. Big shout out to DJ Quick, because DJ Quick know how to work the mess out that voice box. Byron Talkbox Chambers. There's some cats out here, man, that's working that talkbox. Now they got it made easy. And I'm not knocking what people do once again, but the difference between back then and now is back then, you actually had to do a whole lot. I never could get that old voice box right, brother, because I couldn't get the tube to stay in my mouth right without spitting up all over the place. I gave up on it. I shouldn't have. But now, it's easier to do than that now. This video is just kind of fun for me to do because it's so much rushing through my mind, man, because it made me feel good to know how I started out and where I'm at now. I wish I would have had help like they got out now, man. I wish I would have had all those DVDs and like I said earlier, YouTube and all that back then, but don't have it, man. We didn't have it. Wasn't no YouTube once again. I learned the hard way. And I had a great music teacher when I was in elementary by the name of LaRon Wilson. Mr. LaRon Wilson, big shout out to him. And one of my homeboys growing up, MD, better known as Marcus Davis. Michael Thomas. We all would fool around on the piano, but my problem was my hands were so small, I couldn't hit the chords like they was hitting. I started off playing like this. They was doing all that with one hand. It took me two hands to do what they was doing with one hand, and I started getting frustrated because one dude told me, say, young man, your hand's too little. You ain't gonna be able to play the piano. I proved him wrong. I started doing them stretch exercises, and I just came on with it. I can't tell you how much I would practice, y'all. I spent endless hours every day. Even at church, I would go down, I would wear my Uncle Jerry out, knocking on his door. Let me see the keys onto the church, because I wanted to learn that organ so bad. I wanted to learn them drawboards. I wanted to learn them foot pedals down there. I wanted to learn why this do that. Why is this switch right here to make the Leslie do this? I spent endless hours, and I stayed in there until I got it. Because nothing is going to stop me. Nothing is going to stop me. Music says what words can't. And I started seeing all the evil spirits as I got older flowing through so much music. So much. And when you hang around family musicians, family churches, they will keep you down harder than anybody. Now, I ain't saying all like this, but some of y'all know what I'm talking about. Because they are you blood, man. You know, don't ever worry about getting paid. Man, I did so much traveling with these old watered down, barely holding up church buildings when I was coming up. Man, I got burnt out all the way. It would be so hot, no air, no equipment working. You would see some of everything and some, especially in the country. And they would always tell y'all, brother, just keep laboring for the Lord. My biggest blessing is when I left all that mess alone. Yes, I'm glad I did it because I learned a lot in the process. But my biggest blessing is when I left everybody alone. Now, you talking about singing. It's another brother I got to give credit to. Brother Cedric West. Maxine West's son. Gene West's son. It's a whole lot of Westes. If you know anything about them, they all can sing. They all talented, gifted. I would listen to Sid sing. I would listen to Albert Jackson sing. I started trying to mimic some of the stuff Sid do. And at first, you couldn't get me to play. Couldn't get me to sing. But I started coming in the room and going through all 12 keys, minors, majors. And I started tuning my voice to the piano by myself. Nobody worked with me one-on-one on how to sing. That was the Most High. And I would be like, because I remember something my Uncle Jimmy told me years ago. He said, son, if you can play the piano, you can teach yourself how to sing. And he was right. I started teaching myself. I started looking at every key, what sounds high to me and what sounds low to me. I would go note for note. I would do little exercises, and next thing I know, I came out that shyness. You can't stop me. To this day, you can't stop me from singing. I love to sing, but I don't love to show out. Once I started understanding the anointing, it made me leave a lot of churches. Because you can be talented and not be anointed. You can be really sounding good and don't be nowhere close to the Father. I'm just so grateful that the Most High blessed me with the gift. Yes, it was a struggle for me growing up because we didn't have a whole lot. But you got to put in the time. You can't rush it. You gotta spend endless hours. If you want to learn the piano, whatever it is, you want to learn the bass, you got to do it every day till you can't stand it. And even when you can't stand it, you better keep doing it. That's how you continue to get to where you need to get. By doing what most folks don't really like doing, which is learning, which is studying. It's a brother that I taught on here. I want to say his name was Michael. He didn't even know C, D, E, L, G, A flat, C sharp, nothing. Just like Brother P.P. Drawings tell me all the time. I didn't know. I didn't even know what the on and off button was. But this brother is so amazing now. And I said, what a blessing it is to me when somebody send me an email or a video and be like, look at how I play now. Knowing that I didn't go to nobody's school, but I sat up under the Most High. And the Most High taught me or put me around the ones without even going to school, and I'm blessed to teach others. I'm not saying that for no hand clap or no boasting and bragging. I'm saying that to say, look at the power of the Most High. And just because I didn't go to school didn't stop me from being successful. I make a great living off of music. I play all the time. Even when I got laid off, you know what kept me going? Music. Why? Because your gift, as I close, your gift will make room for you. But you know what the problem is with most people? They trying to make room for their gift. But the Bible tell you your gift will make room for you. And the Most High didn't just tell me to play church music, gospel music. What's sad is you got so many people out there talking about the gospel music and they don't even know what the gospel is, while they trying to put a label on some type of gospel music. That's why I'm not caught up in these workshops. I'm not caught up in the latest song that come out. I really discern things. I sit down and listen to something and I be like, no, leave that alone. Because it's a lot of people who say they gospel artists making a whole lot of songs that don't have nothing to do with the Most High. I'll leave y'all with that. Life for JT growing up as a musician. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful, blessed day.